Hello, hello, hello. Final check-in of the Gngstr, book number 6 in the Galactic Football League series. This is chapter 55 to, I think it's 58, and to the epilogues, which I think there are three epilogues, which sounds bad, but actually I think it's okay. In that they all, do different functions to kind of to put a cap on the story and to show where the stories might be going. So yes, Greedock becomes Grigoka, female, which is definitely a different person in this thing, a female person that can't be seen, that gives very much alien queen vibes in one sense, though in another sense is somebody who seems to be have a wider palette of emotions, and yes, can no longer own property, but very much selects who is going to who's going to inherit the property that she had as Greedock. And you think, I honestly did think it was going to be probably the politician or perhaps this football player. Like they kind of put forward a bunch of suitors. And so I was genuinely surprised when it was like, oh, I'm going to pick Quentin. And it is one of those things where you kind of wonder, is this more of a plot thing than it is an actual decision by this character? Though, on the other side there, yes, Greedock would have definitely picked power, wealth, just acumen as a football coach for the football player, coach, potential suitor. But Grigoka has different motivations, perhaps a deeper, more subtle game on her part. It's interesting that say it's like it's no longer going to be maybe super hyper violent and brutal, but I do get there definitely seems to be an indication is going to be that it's not going to be Greedock isn't going to be entirely gone, but it's going to be opened up with maybe more possibilities, perhaps. There's a question of whether they will, someone, one of the things is like she'll quietly make a name for herself, perhaps. And it's like one of these things of like, I think about like, some of those Victorian ladies in Trollope novels. It's like, they're not powerless. They very much can do a heck of a lot. And perhaps even more, using their position. So we'll have to see. Where that goes. That was interesting. There's very much the thing of Quentin and his father, and also learning about his genetics. This whole thing of that they that they both share, that he and his father both share this ability to see lines of power and make really great tactical decisions because of it, like faster than any computer. And also the news that in one of the is it in one of the things when the Dr. Hata is talking to him and Becca about the child, it's like Clinton's DNA seems to be able to overwrite Becca's DNA, and is basically this child went from somebody that's like, oh, potentially maybe 50-50 was going to need kind of therapy and various things to help it survive, to becoming basically a supra-human example of the thing, like Quentin in the upper 1 percentile in physical, mental, uh, uh, you know, possibilities. So, like, and with kind of manipulation that is like way beyond anything that Dr. Hatta has ever seen. And it's like Becca's like, I have not been anywhere for surgeries or anything like that. And Dr. Hatta's like, yeah, I didn't think so because there's no way that anything that we have of technology could ever have done this. So Quentin's genes, which have been on record and highly scanned through the GFL because they're looking for anything that people are trying to slip over them. Like they would have noticed anything that was wiggy with Quentin's genes. I mean, they're really good genes, but there's nothing there that is like illegal mods and all that sort of stuff. So what the heck is all that about? Um, there's definitely the thing of now he's inherited all of Greedoc's possessions. He is the gangster, which has gotten rather hammered home to this. This is it's kind of the blunt instrument of this thing is Quentin slowly turning into Greedock. But it's like, okay, you've solved all your problems by getting rid of Greedock, but not so much in that you've inherited all of his empire. And the reason why Greedock was at the top of this pyramid is because he was brutally, ruthlessly efficient at being a gangster. And Quentin doesn't want to do that, which means all the other gangsters who were under Greedock and were cowed by him and kept the peace are not going to be cowed and are going to come for him and come for him and come for him. So things are probably going to get worse for poor old Quentin before they're going to get better, because he is now in possession of a lot of stuff that a lot of other people want. That's made him even more of a target. Not to mention the whole thing with his religion blowing up and being way too big for the Creterakians, and all these protests showing that how much influence he had, that they actually had to kind of back down, which they probably aren't very happy about. And then, yes, the whole thing with the Abernathy and these planet killers that are out and around. It's like, are they going to, like, as his father said, like, put one on each of the major planets of the galaxy, explode them? The amount of chaos and confusion and panic would be perfect for the Abernathy in the opening salvo of a war. You take out the main power hubs of the civilization right at the moment when you launch a full scale invasion. It would be just things it would be over so fucking quick. It wouldn't be funny. Um, so I think the thing I kind of like thought about in this book is I don't want Quentin turning into the kick-ass high-tech soldier. I kind of like that he is a football player. He's a civilian. I think maybe the introduction of like the father and the other stuff there. It's like this is I know this is the stuff that Sigler is also good at, is these tech thrillers with like soldiers. At least that's my impression, where they're really good at shooting and killing, and maybe there's like that he's also good at doing all the doing all the consequences to that. Like he does write violence in a way that it's like it all has consequences. Even like stuff on the field, that kind of ritualized violence always has consequences. He thanks the doctor at the end for getting all the injuries and wear and tear on the human body correct. um, but yeah, I'd like Sigler to. I want Quentin to stay a civilian who's got to make choices, moral choices, and he's got to live with them. I mean, they really built up how bad Greedock was, so that the whole kind of assault of switching his genders without his consent could be solved. But it's still, I think the book actually does a good job of still making it like this was a terrible thing. But I mean, I guess it's a terrible thing versus a terrible thing. And I mean, he might have even killed him just by injecting him with it. Instead, he yeah, I guess he won the big prize out of it because he switched genders, and then he picked Quentin. She picked Quentin as her harem thing, and it'll be interesting to hear I mean, they gave a certain kind of a thing of like you protected your own people, your family, and I that's one of the things that appeals to me as a thing. And also, there's also a sort of a thing of a mentoring thing that they've had theme that they've had throughout this of Greedock being unintentionally the guy, the character who's mentored um, Quentin into the man he is now, of controlling his emotions, reading other people, having to make the hard choices. Is like Greedock the Splithead was that character. So I do think he hammered a little bit too much of like you and I are not that not that alike, or you guys are just the same. You're just a gangster like Greedock. It's like we got that was repeated maybe a few times too many. Um, it's like, oh, I get it, but um, the overall story on that, actually pretty good, pretty good. Um, and but yeah, I think it's like I want Quentin the football player, or in that realm, which is going to be kind of hard to do because yeah, the Abernathy are coming. Oh, and in the final coda, someone was saying like, well, a star football player also becoming like the head of the football organization. That would be almost like a clueless political neophyte running for the highest political president of the universe galaxy office, which is like, oh, there's a little Easter egg for what Quentin might be doing. Quentin, the politician, you know, the politician might be the next one, or the head of government, or is going to be one of the books as the unifying figure to in a political sense lead his people into battle against the Abernathy. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. It's there's probably not going to be. You wonder how much more games that are going to be. It's sort of like Quidditch matches in Harry Potter, even though I shouldn't be talking about Harry Potter because Harry Potter is cancelled. It'll never be cancelled, but I just JK probably won't. All right, I've really gone off on a tangent. Yes, I enjoyed this book with misgivings and a little bit of it's a bit ham-fisted, but I mean it's a exciting stories well told. All right, more videos later.